Agent provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos got himself invited to speak at the Conservative Political Action Conference this week, and just like that, a video and stories appeared on the internet with screaming headlines like "Video of right-wing journalist defending pedophilia" and "Milo Yiannopoulos advocating for sex between men and boys." And then on Monday, the American Conservative Union withdrew Milo's invitation. But what is it that Milo really said, and what the hell is going on with CPAC? I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is the right angle I like to call, "Oops, he did it again." Now, you can find the video, the selectively edited video, on the internet easily enough. But let me read to you what was left out that Milo said. Pedophilia is attraction to children who have not reached puberty. Pedophilia is attraction to people who don't have functioning sex organs yet, who have not gone through puberty. That's not what we are talking about. You don't understand what pedophilia is if you are saying I am defending it, because I'm certainly not. Touchy subject, admittedly, but there seems to be some confusion here between the difference, on the difference between statutory rape, which can, but doesn't always involve two consenting and presumably smiling teenagers, and actual sexual predators who prey on prepubescent children. Bill, I don't want to get trolled, Milo's specialty, into having a debate over who should or shouldn't be having sex with whom. But did Milo just score yet another propaganda victory over establishment conservatism?
I wouldn't call it that. I mean,
No.
I think as far as Milo's concerned, I think it's really a bit of a catastrophe for him. The center stage at CPAC is the top of the pyramid. I think we've got a couple different things here, for me anyway. First of all, reading the transcript of what he said, he is coming out extremely strongly against pedophilia. That's not what he's talking about at all. The whole idea of pedophilia is adults having sex with children, and people who may not be able to give, consent. What Milo's talking about is having sex with people who were under the legal age of consent, but nevertheless were sexually mature or whatever.
Yes.
That's a whole different animal. And whether or not he's right about that, or whether or not he's not only did he not say, "Hey, I love pedophilia," he came out in the interview, not the apology, in the interview, very clear about what he was talking about. So on one hand, I'm very sympathetic to him on this, because it seems to me, Steve, that my experience has been that the left cannot, or some people on the right too, don't seem to be able to argue with me about what I say. They tell me what I said, and then they argue with that, but I didn't actually say that, and often I said just the exact opposite of that. So he has my sympathy on that one. I think the downside here, though, is I don't want to say that Milo has an official role or anything, or that there's any particular hierarchy, but just speaking in generalizations, Milo as a member of the conservative message is he's a very useful person, to the degree that he claims to be conservative, and he's gay, and he's outspoken, and he's gay, and so on. So having Milo as sort of another piece on the chessboard is very effective. But when he becomes the spokesman for the entire conservative movement and for Donald Trump and so on, now you got problems, because he's not just one of a spectrum of people who are speaking about being conservative or immigration or any of the rest of it, coming from a wide spectrum of people. When he becomes the spokesperson for an entire half of the country, a guy with that kind of moral base is going to provide you with some problems.
Yeah, it's possible at the same time to marvel at the artistry of what he does, while at the same time just doing this at what he's actually said.
He is a genius at publicity. He's an absolute genius.
Yeah, he really is. All right, Scott, anytime any group invites and then disinvites a controversial speaker, it's always embarrassing for the group that did that. What did the ACU think they were getting into with Milo, and which was the most embarrassing, do you think, the invite or rescinding it?
I mean, I think Bill's right, and the term I would use is that Milo is a performance artist. And perhaps a cruder expression would be he's a bomb thrower. He knows that he can get attention if he does something, as you said, he's an agent provocateur. I mean, he's trying to stir up the best possible spin is he thinks by using his personality he can stir interest in conservatism or in libertarianism or whatever you want to call it. The worst spin is that all he's doing is trying to generate interest in Milo, and after all, the guy's initials are MY, and so for that, I really don't think it's helpful at all to the movement, if you want to call it a movement, although I haven't seen enough people in one room agreeing with each other to categorize anything in conservatism as a movement. But it seems to me it wouldn't be the Democrats and the leftists couldn't do a better job of tarring the brand than we've done to ourselves. I mean, how many years ago was it when the big discussion around CPAC was whether or not the log cabin Republicans should have a booth there or something like that? I mean, it just seems like every time a conservative event comes along, we're talking about homosex. I mean, how is it possible that this group has managed to get itself into that conversation on more than one occasion? So I don't think it's helpful to the American Conservative Union or the CPAC or to the movement in general. And frankly, even though I think she's brilliant, I think Ann Coulter is another one of those bomb throwers who just is drawing attention to herself. And while I can agree with a lot of stuff that she said over the years, and I think maybe her heart's in the right place, I don't think it's helpful for anybody but themselves. And sometimes I just wish they would say, you know what, there may be something more in this world than me.
Oh, good luck with that, Scott. Listen, folks, as a father of two boys, ages 6 and 11, I really wish we didn't have to talk about this, but we do. So let me borrow that Facebook phrase and say, it's complicated is usually the correct answer about questions concerning sex. But without defending anything else he said, Milo's actual position on pedophilia, he's outed 3 pedophiles in his reporting, by the way, that doesn't seem complicated at all. He's against it and disgusted by it, as anyone should be. But controversy and provocation aside, I think everybody got exactly what they wanted out of this story. Milo got to put another notch in his belt for getting invited and uninvited to a big event. The American Conservative Union did its annual job of getting itself into the headlines right before a CPAC. And certain folks who like to get outraged about sex got to be outraged about sex. As for me, the next time this subject comes up, I'm going to do what any responsible and consenting adult should do. Going to stick my fingers in my ears and say, I'm not listening, I can't hear you. And I mean it. And that's the right angle on Milo and CPAC, brought to you by the paying members of BillWhittle.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.